Sheriff's Office, Jericho Ridge. We got active shooters on the scene, requesting backup. Run!
I am the most complete fighter in the world. Yippee-ki-yay,
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Dodge This Action Movies Unleashed, Season 3, Episode, I checked it, 11. We are talking about Jericho Ridge, the brand new indie action thriller out of the actual United of Kingdoms, if you can believe it, and you certainly will. And joining me to talk about it, rescued from his Donnelly Punches People Groundhog Day loop of podcast appearances, brackets until the next one comes out, it's your friend of mine, director and Amsterdam dweller, Mr. Joe Roberts.
Hello. Thanks for having me back. It's lovely to be back.
He's got one of the best voices on the podcast.
I miss Donnelly and his big punches. I can't wait to see more of those punches. Not long, right?
Yeah. The Roundup 4, the Roundup 3. We did this last time. It's the football scores, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the Outlaws 4, the Roundup 3.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's going to be punching some more people. But until then, we've got Jericho Ridge, Joe. And I thought you would enjoy this one particularly because it's, you know, A, not Korean MMA man. B, you was British, and you know, C, I just should have thought these through before I started them. But you know, you just like good movies, and I think you'll have a lot of interesting things to say about it. Before we get there, though, it's been a while. What have you seen?
I have been watching. It does seem it's a good time for TV at the moment. I'm watching a lot of prestige television, as they say.
Oh, that's a great way to describe it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Top of the list is Shogun, the Disney FX Japanese epic, which I'm really enjoying.
I'm on episode 5. No spoilers.
Right. I'm on 9. Well, I think the finale drops tomorrow. I'm that into it. I'm you know, it's appointment viewing.
It's in the diary.
It's in the diary.
Love that.
Yeah, fantastic, amazing, beautiful production design. Love the acting of most of the Japanese contingent. Cosmo Jarvis. I got very confused at the start with what language is this English person speaking to the Japanese. It turns out it's Portuguese, but it's actually in English. But everyone's speaking Portuguese, but for the sake of the viewers, everyone's talking in English, apart from the Japanese, and that is translated. But we won't translate the Portuguese because that would be too much translation.
Which one is Cosmo Jarvis? The main English guy?
The English guy. Yeah, that man.
I do like him, but he is such an actor, isn't he? I imagine in real life he's either like the best guy who buys all the drinks or an absolute dickhead.
Yeah,
I can't decide.
I think
he's just
very
like Sergeant Right. I've got to get right into character. He's sort of like affordable Tom Hardy at this point. Although his stock has obviously, you know, massively skyrocketed after this, but he has that like how you sort of. I assume that those people just sort of grow, but they're just everywhere. Like I met another actor who very much reminded me of that. I keep trying to describe the difference between comedians and actors to people, and I just think comedians aren't that, but comedians can become actors. But like actors are just that, you know?
Yeah,
they're just like doing rep theatre somewhere like that. And then they get cast in something like this because they're very good at it, but they're very like committed and just rah, you know. And that
100%. I think
acting
he
is
is
shouting,
very committed
isn't it?
as well.
Is it?
I think he's very committed. I think he's very, from what I've read, he's quite method in that Tom Hardy way. You'll probably find him like late night in a hotel bar, barking in the background. Those kind of noises that I think he makes. But I think it's a fantastic.
He is
series.
good. Don't get me wrong. He's very good. He's absolutely perfect for the role.
Yes, and so I'm enjoying that. Last night. Over the weekend, we binged a Netflix series called Baby Reindeer.
Oh, yes, the Richard Gadd one. I've heard nothing but great things about that.
Absolutely fantastic. Like, brutal and incendiary and very British. And the comedian kind of fringe element, I think, would really appeal to you.
It's so. I didn't know that was sort of in production or anything, and I don't personally know Richard Gadd, but like I'm aware of him, and I have seen his shows, and so it's like it's very cool that I think it was a fringe show, or it's based on a show.
Yes,
and now
it's
on
like a theatre show that I think
an international Netflix thing. Yeah, incredible.
It's brilliantly, confidently written. You can tell it's a fringe show. You can tell it's a piece of theatre that's been poured over. And it looks fantastic. It's really confidently directed as well. I think it's really, really great. We love that. It's brutal and it's honest and it's really revealing and
unflinching.
Unflinching, as they say. And the last thing I watched recently, I went to the cinema.
Oh, yeah.
There are loads of cinemas in Amsterdam. That's one of the best things about living in Amsterdam is the amount of cinemas for me.
That's actually something I'd never considered, but it is true. There are a lot of cinemas. There's a good range of like multiplexes, and there's also quite a few little indies, aren't there, that are all really good.
Yeah. So we went to a little indie cinema called The Movies.
Oh, The Movies.
The Movies.
Up the top there.
On Hollemerdijk.
Hollemerdijk, yep.
And we saw a film called Love Lies Bleeding.
Okay, yes. Kristen Stewart, wrestling.
Kristen Stewart, yes. Well, it's more bodybuilding. They've got this fantastic actor.
Oh, yeah.
Who's called Katie O'Brien, who's obviously was a bodybuilder first, and they found her. It's by Rose Glass, who's a British director, and it's her second film. The first film she did was called Saint Maud, great horror film. And this is like a body horror kind of really great genre piece. And like visual, like very visceral in it. And Ed Harris has got a great haircut in it, and I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. So that would be my.
You sold me on Ed Harris's haircut. Actually, that's what. I was already intrigued.
It's a skullet for the ages. It's fantastic.
Skullet.
Yeah. Apparently, he put it on as a joke, and the director was like, "That's great. Keep it on." So
wow.
Love Lies Bleeding.
Sometimes the hairpiece can just make the role, right?
Yeah.
It's like old what's his face in Blackberry, old It's Always Sunny, Glenn Howerton, with a bald bit with the hair around the sides. It's just like, I bet as soon as he put that on, he was like, well, I am the guy. I'm the guy now.
Yeah. Sometimes they put their shoes on and you feel like you're walking in their shoes. Sometimes it's hair.
That's what these method actors don't get is. So just put on a fun wig or do an accent.
The Last Duel, that Ridley Scott movie, that was mostly about Ben Affleck's hair and Matt Damon's crazy hair. Do you remember those wacky hairdos?
I haven't seen that movie, actually. I haven't seen it.
It's firstly, the hair. Secondly, a fantastic duel. The Last Duel happens right at the end, and it makes you wish there was more of the dueling.
The dueling.
They keep it quite towards the end, but you watch it and you're like, Ridley Scott can really do action set pieces really well.
Okay.
So I really recommend it. It's on Disney, I think, now. So that's worth
I'll add it to the absolutely insurmountable list of stuff.
Just pop it on there. Pop it on the very top of that pile.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if since the last episode was a little while ago, I've been away a bit, and that's why there's been a bit of a delay. Anyone who's counting, I don't know if I had seen Dune 2 then, but I have still. I've still seen it, whether I had then or not. I think that is the last thing that I saw in the cinema.
And.
It's good.
Oh, you said it was good.
Yeah. Did you also see it?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would say better than good. that slightly kind of.
Yeah, definitely better than good. I'd say it's a solid 4-star movie.
Or
Do you think it's a 5-er?
it's yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is pure cinema, isn't it? And I think maybe it's easy to overlook that, but it is like you must see this in a big cinema with a big sound system because it's scary and loud. And it is, and old Denis Villeneuve just, he just knows how to fucking make things epic.
Yeah.
I think we had a little WhatsApp about this, didn't we? Just the scale. He's so good at, like, even from like Arrival, on. He's really good at making things really massive.
Yeah.
And that movie is full of really massive stuff.
And I saw it at the IMAX with loud music. And like you say, it's just a visceral experience.
Terrifyingly loud at times.
Too loud sometimes. But just fantastic. I just, again, from just from an experience point of view, I saw it with a friend who's read all the books and had some thoughts around that. But,
oh boy.
I hadn't. I'm not into the lore at all. I saw the first one and really enjoyed the first one.
Same.
So just kind of went along for the ride and blew both my socks off. I wear 2 pairs of socks.
You have to at this time of year in Amsterdam.
And cycling around, and it blew not one but both pairs of socks off.
Wow, off both feet as well.
So 4 socks out of 5.
That's pretty good, actually. That's the new rating system. Where's the 5th sock? Red Hot Chili Peppers. We don't need to know. We don't need to know. Okay, good rating system that, though, actually, for how many socks got blown off. But you have to also explain that you're wearing 2 pairs. Haven't thought it through, but it could work. It could catch on. I've had this conversation with a couple of people about ratings on letterboxd. As you know, I'm a big fan of letterboxd, and I still do rate things out of 5, but I noticed that a couple of people stopped doing the ratings and just writing a little review. And I sort of was like, oh, I wonder why that is. But I knew deep down, well, sometimes you can't get that. You're not always comparing apples to apples, like something you're watching like a 1950s black and white detective movie and you're comparing it to Dune 2. Like, what is the system? I don't know. I mean, it works for Empire magazine somehow, I guess, but sometimes you just sort of have to be like, I really liked this straight to video karate movie, 4 stars, and then Oppenheimer. I also liked this, 4 stars. Is that part of me is like maybe a stop doing the star sock rating and just write a couple of sentences, but it's just the shorthand, isn't it?
It's
the
reductive.
Star rating.
It's reductive.
It is reductive. Yeah.
But I quite like it because it makes you think about how much you enjoyed the film in quite summing it up in a simple way.
And it has to be subjective, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately it's like, well, if I thought it was absolutely bloody great, I'm giving it 5. I never give anything 5.
Do you not? I give quite
RRR and John Wick 4, maybe. I think just things that have really blown all 5 of my socks off in the cinema. It's very rare. It's very rare. But yeah. I think that's it. And it also it's like the Dutch. Nobody ever gets 10 out of 10 because that means there's no room for improvement.
But saying that, I'm not sure how you improve on Dune 2 doing what that film did. I don't know how you improve that. It's really, it's really good. It
is great for what it is, which is an epic sci-fi fantasy action romance.
Yes, great. All of those genres.
I did watch the first part of the Steve Martin documentary on a plane recently. Don't know if you were even aware of that.
I wasn't. No,
I guessed that just by your face. Now, it's a sort of 2-part autobiography. He narrates it. The first part is about him sort of starting out doing stand-up, which I have watched, which was excellent. And the second part, I think, is the sort of latter years from when he stopped doing stand-up. I haven't watched that yet, though, so I don't know. I assume it covers movies and banjo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
and then Prestige Television.
Prestige
late,
television,
very late
all
stuff.
the murders in the buildings and that kind of thing. Yes, it's very good. I've very much enjoyed it. It was such an interesting story, and it's great to hear it, from the horse's mouth. And also, there's loads of good archival footage from when he was starting out, and just sort of he just sort of like invented a sort of style of comedy, or he was a real pioneer. You forget such a long time ago, but yeah, he is one of the greats, and it's a very interesting doco.
Does the first part cover like the jerk and the man with two brains that early? Is he still doing stand-up when he's doing?
I think he basically stopped doing stand-up as he started doing those movies. So yeah,
Right.
it does vaguely cover, I think, the jerk, because that was his first one, right?
Mhm.
No Two Brains. I would say it's up to and including the jerk. That's recommended.
Nice.
Also watched a documentary about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the video game. That's just reminded
the video
me.
game. I've watched the one about Tony Hawk on HBO, which is great, but not the video game itself, which has made the video games made crazy amounts of money.
Yeah,
right?
quite an interesting documentary. Yeah.
On YouTube's.
Where did I find that? That is, these days, sometimes when someone mentions something, I have to stop myself going, oh, where is that? Because we all live in different countries, and I go on justwatch.com and go, is it streaming in my country? And then, is it streaming in anywhere where my VPN works? And then after that, you just have to sort of, go digging a bit. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Couldn't say where you can watch that, but may vary by country. It's called, I think, Superman, the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater story.
That's cool.
It's enjoyable, but they don't play the Goldfinger song until about halfway through, and that felt like a real missed opportunity to me.
Yeah.
But thankfully they do get to it, and they do talk to John Feldman from Goldfinger and that sort of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, and if you're, a man of a certain age, like I know we both are, you probably spend a lot of time playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on PS2, I imagine.
Maybe PS1, the first one.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
PS2.
First one, and then 2 and 3 were the absolute. I lost a lot of hours to those games. Absolute classics.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant soundtracks as well. And so it was a documentary that must have been able to clear that music. So it had a bit of money behind it. It wasn't a YouTube thing.
Yes,
Cool.
yes. It definitely
Good
had
stuff.
some chat about the music, some chat with lots of the skaters. They got Tony Hawk in there. Obviously, that would be a real problem, I would say, if they didn't manage to. It was a super low budget doc, but it was nice. It was nice.
Nice.
3 stars. 3 stars.
3 socks
3 socks.
and a glove. Documentaries nowadays, I feel, are being self-produced or executive produced by the people that they're about. And sometimes, obviously, with the Steve Martin documentary, that's good. It makes it also more like autobiographical. But some documentaries I've watched, the two that come to mind is the David Beckham documentary and the Robbie Williams documentary. One of the documentaries is edited, or partly edited,
Great
by
segue.
the director of the film that we're going to watch today. Those documentaries, say they're from a more objective point of view, but when they're executively produced by the people that they're about,
Might they get final cut, you think?
yeah, I felt with the David Beckham one and with the Robbie Williams one, it was like a little bit of a
Puff piece?
Yes, but disguised as an authentic documentary.
Verite, yeah. I didn't see the Becks one, apart from the meme of Victoria Beckham's dad's Mercedes or whatever. But I did watch the first episode of the Robbie one, and I mean, it's funny to think that he is behind it and has final say, and he's like, I should just do it in my pants in my bed.
Yeah.
That seems like the best way to do this. Not one of those lovely sort of big depth of field, 2 cameras, one of them's moving, Netflix setups. Just get in the bed, mate. But I did enjoy it, and I think there was a lot in there that I didn't know about those years, and I think he was quite open. But yeah, you're right. Ultimately, if he's like, "Don't put that in, mate," probably isn't going in, is it?
And if he's in his pants, basically watching old footage of himself, it's very close to ownerism anyway, in terms of just like, it's a little bit. Ugh. But yeah, I watched the first one as well, and I was like, this is just all. Yeah.
Well, somebody edited one episode of that multi-part documentary. I'm not sure which one, but the editor of it was a man named Will Gilby. Will Gilby has written quite a few films, and he's edited quite a few films. He's won a bloody BAFTA, I believe, for editing the Bros documentary.
Love that documentary.
And now he has stepped up to the proverbial plate with his directorial debut, Jericho Ridge.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
Joe, we've made it through to the private password protected Vimeo screening link / local multiplex. And it's time to watch Jericho Ridge, the aforementioned directorial debut of Mr. Will Gilby, which hits UK releasing times this month, which, as I speak, is April 2024. Hopefully that means you can go and see it in your local cinema if you live in a cool city like Amsterdam that's got loads of cinemas. I don't know what the programming schedule is for it. They don't tell you that kind of stuff. I will start with, I'd highly recommend going to see it, but I will have Joe run us down on the old plot.
We open on some fantastic...
He's just absolutely grasped it and gone for it.
We open on fantastic vistas of snow-peaked mountains.
He's reading the stage directions. I love it.
I just remember it opening with like really great visuals of and I was like, wow, where are we? This is the Rockies. That's where I was like,
great question. Yeah, let's circle back around to that.
And we open on a cop, a policeman getting up, brushing her teeth, telling her son that they're going to go to work. And the cop is played by Nikki Amuka Bird. Is recognisable, a great British actress. Been in loads like Avenue 5 and popped up in Old. Wow. And really great. Just I really like her.
Yeah, recognisable face where you go, oh, what do I know her from?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this, isn't there? We'll come back.
Definitely.
We'll come back.
She's not only got a recognisable face, she's also got a big boot on. She's recovering. She's a limping cop. And straight away, as a limping cop, and definitely in that kind of American kind of local cop, I was like, Sly Stallone, Copland, let's do it. I love that film. And limping cop put me right in the mood for that.
That's a good, not even that deep a cut, but a good reference. Yes, yeah. Copland, yeah.
And then, she goes to, she's a local deputy. I'm not quite sure on the hierarchy of American police. I should be. I've seen enough of these films.
I know, right? I know. I want to ask Will Gilby about this because it seems like, all these things are like, we probably know how our sheriff's department works, right? But then I'd write a movie and it would be the most like sort of high school level. Oh, wow, Kowalski, get in here, And I'm like, this actually seems quite realistic. I'd love to know how much research got done.
Yeah. So she turns out that was deputy. I'm going to say
chief deputy, I think, right?
Chief deputy.
Something
okay.
Like
Vice President Deputy, and she's been booted down.
Assistant to the General Manager.
There's a load of, all of her colleagues come in, and some are above her and some are below her in the hierarchy.
Okay. He's got a bit hooked up on the hierarchy of a local sheriff's department. Yeah. It's a sheriff's department.
Yeah. And everyone who comes in, Simon Coons, Chris Riley from Slow Horses, and I'm like, and then Michael Socker's being arrested. I'm like, hang on
a minute.
Is everyone going to be British? And the answer is yes, everyone is going to be British in this film.
If you were wondering.
And quick little Google. I'm like, where they filmed this? Because the scenery is fantastic, and they filmed it in Kosovo, and everyone's British.
Yeah.
And that's just being someone who makes TV and tries to make films or wants to make films,
yes,
it's like, this is already a smart film.
Incredible, right? Yeah. Get back to the plot. We're in the sheriff's department.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're in the sheriff's department, and
skip to the end.
No, a lot of cameras are being used. Surveillance cameras have been installed. Covert surveillance cameras. Inside and also on some of the cars. Again, smart
Very
filmmaking
smart.
in terms of like, how are we going to show all these angles whilst all keeping it in one location? The higher up sheriffs
Oh my
get called
God.
away. Oh, I'm sorry.
Joe, get to the inciting incident.
So the locksmith, there's a locksmith that turns up.
Fucking hell.
Well, you do it then. What's that? So what happens next then? I thought the locksmith does turn up. Two people get turned.
Yeah. No, that is true. You're absolutely doing it right. Yeah. I just wanted more. I wanted more bullet points and less like real time narration.
Oh yeah, you said this has to be a Type 45.
Yeah.
So, they have this great thing where the locksmith turns up, and she lets the locksmith in. They've been robbed. That was another thing. Sorry,
He's
they've
missed
been
out
robbed.
quite a major point. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Simon, you take over.
No, please.
No, don't, and please take over.
I'm dreadful at doing it. That's why I force our guests to do it and then critique them while they're doing it.
Okay, so the place has been turned over. They haven't stolen all of the guns, so they've left the big guns. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Now I'm really nervous. Locksmith turns up. I'm here to fix the place, the room that's been busted into. And she's like, "Don't touch anything." And then there's that great kind of ghost story conceit where she's on the phone to her boss and saying like, "Oh, the locksmith's here." And he said, "The locksmith called 30 minutes ago. He can't make it."
The call's coming from inside the house.
Ghost story stuff. So the locksmith isn't a locksmith. There's a fracas, a bit of a fight with guns, although she's been left a gun without any bullets in it. But then she finds some bullets. She puts those bullets in. Sorry, I'm trying to make this more pithy. He gets put in a jail next to Michael Soccer.
Yeah.
He's not a locksmith, but can pick a lock. So there is some kind of crossover job-wise. Whatever he does do, he probably could be a locksmith, but he's decided not to. He's gone
Probably
the other
during
way.
the pandemic, there wasn't a lot of crime stuff to be done. He retrained. We don't know.
He's on the other side. He's a bad locksmith now. The rogue locksmith.
Yeah.
And then it essentially turns into a siege movie.
Oh God, that's all I needed you to say.
Thank you.
We got there. Eventually. Excellent sum up, actually. No, and what you did do very nicely, which this movie also does, is you put all the pieces in motion for lots of things that I would love to talk about. So actually, great job. And
Great.
I can go fuck myself for being quite rude during it. So thanks for that, Joe.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it is. You texted me saying, what are your favorite siege movies? And that I was like, good, that's a great. I think it's impossible to like talk about a movie like this without immediately going Assault on Precinct 13. But you mentioned a whole bunch of other ones that I hadn't thought about without Googling list of siege movies.
Oh, I googled, yeah.
Yeah, you Googled.
Yeah.
I thought they just came out of your head.
Oh no, some of them were at the top of my head, and then I reinforced it with googling. It's reinforced googling.
Strong, actually. And in fact, one, I think we can discuss like the exact what makes a siege movie. I think I know the answer to this. Is it just people outside trying to get in? People defending something?
Yes.
The baddies are outside and they don't want to be let in.
It feels like from the light googling, and it was light, it wasn't too much.
Okay.
The light googling that I did do, it does seem like it has to be a single location with people outside, and people outside wanting to get inside. And so movies like that, the ones that this without Googling, one of my favourite movies growing up. What probably on a rewatch wouldn't hold up. Toy Soldiers.
Yeah. I used to have that on VHS, owned it on VHS.
Same.
Big fan of that movie. I think probably because it's set in a school and we were young and they were fighting back against the baddies, right?
Like you say, Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton from Star Trek The Next Generation. Etched in my mind the scene where a scene that I've enacted throughout my life 1,000 times, where I disarm a gunman.
Yeah.
And then they play it out to sort of a degree of realism that you just would not expect in a movie like that, where he tries to shoot the AK-47, but he can't control it, and it just sort of shoots up into the air. And then I believe, I'm happy to be corrected, but I believe he is then killed. He is then killed.
Yeah.
Thus sort of spoiling all of my childhood and adulthood fantasies of, disarming a baddie and then John McClaning them all. Yeah,
there was some nice kind of turns in that film that probably made it cooler. It's like, this is slightly different.
I haven't watched it since probably the 1980s, early 90s. Yeah, I wonder how it holds up.
Should we rewatch it for the?
Could just do a bloody rewatch, couldn't we, for a bit of fun? Yeah. All right, let's pop back in a couple of hours. Let me just get onto Just Watch, see if it's streaming in India.
I haven't seen it on any of the big streaming services. I haven't seen that's not popped up, and that should.
That movie's title has not popped into my head for so many years until you mentioned it. That is a proper good deep cut siege movie. Sorry, you were going to list some others.
Less deep cut, more obvious ones. Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
The Robert Rodriguez. That, again,
/
a lot of
Tarantino,
these,
right?
/ Tarantino. He
arguably like his half is the siege movie, right?
Yes,
because Tarantino's is the sort of quite dark and creepy first half
with the feet. Quite a lot of feet action in it because it's Quentin Tarantino. Yes. Also, it's got vampires thrown into it. Recent notable ones, Green Room, I really liked.
Yeah. Now, is that a siege movie? That's an interesting one.
Are they trying to get out?
They're trying to escape, aren't they? More.
Yeah.
Is it?
No. They turn up and they're trying to get in. I feel like they barricade themselves in.
Right.
That's like in an old punk club.
Yeah.
And there's this kind of Nazi element to a lot of the hardcore scene.
That movie goes really fucking hard at times, doesn't it? Jesus, it's brutal.
More Star Trek Next Generation from old Pat Stew.
That's right. Pat Stewart's playing an absolute horror show in that, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's a good movie.
That's a good movie. What other siege ones come to your mind? What's off the top of the head?
Cop Shop is probably the most recent one, right? The Joe Carnahan, who's in that? Gerard Butler.
Okay.
Grillo, is Grillo in that? That is quite. I mean, there's more parallels, I suppose, with this because it is literally set in a police station. As is Assault on Precinct 13, I suppose, which I haven't seen for a long old time, and I haven't seen the remake either.
No.
But even that, apparently, John Carpenter is sort of big fan of Rio Bravo, old Western. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what my point is there. So when just people go, it's just Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah,
that wasn't the be all end all of siege movies.
And the siege movie genre must have sprouted out of the Western. That seems like the most obvious place where it would come from.
Someone defending a fort.
I think what all siege movies do, and what this one does well, is works within its limitations, because siege movies usually come out of budget requirements to only have one, if maybe two locations.
Yes.
So,
do you think so? Do you think that's like historically? Do you think that's what it is? I definitely think it's the case in this one, and I think it's a very shrewdly done in that regard.
Yeah.
But like,
I think so.
Something like From Dusk Till Dawn. When I think, like, my immediate thought isn't, well, budget restrictions meant they probably just built one big set and had the five vampires there. But but could be the case.
I think so. I think it might be with all these things when you come to
keep it in one room.
having to pitch a movie and
Yeah.
having to sell it, you can be like, we don't need a lot of time or a lot of space to be able to do this, or a lot of locations. We can do this in 3 weeks in this one space, and we can make it look great. And I feel like it's Assault on Precinct 13, a lot of early John Carpenter stuff, like working with the restrictions rather than against them. And that's where great genre pieces come out of. It must all come down. Unfortunately, when it comes to making films, it must all come down to like, how much is this going to cost? How long is this going to take?
Right.
And how quickly can you do it, or how well can you do it?
Yeah.
And this is something that I loved about Jericho Ridge, of like the way they use these covert cameras and these dash cams to show us outside of this single location of inside the siege.
Yeah.
It expanded it out in a way that was really clever.
Yeah.
In both a money way, not to be too cynical about it.
No, but it made you feel like there were more locations in the movie, right? Even though it was like a fixed camera on sticks, sort of one shot.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a whole day to go to another location. Very, I mean, he's written a bunch of films, right? He edits films. Will Gilby, the director. This feels like, in the best way possible, a movie written to a budget.
Yeah.
Like, we build 2 sets. We find one exterior. We can make it look really good.
Yeah.
And apparently they shot it in 25 days.
Amazing.
And it does look really good. And it does. I don't know what the budget is. I'm imagining couple 3 to 3 to 2 to 5, 2 to 5. No one will ever tell you. So
no, exactly. But again, like using the single locations and doing it in a way, again, other genre films do it well, where you can weave the restrictions of what you've been given into the story itself and make it part of the fabric of the story, so it doesn't feel
you sort of reverse engineer the limitations into the script.
Exactly.
Or forward engineer, or just engineer.
Just engineer. just yeah.
Yeah.
And I think going to maybe Kosovo to do the exteriors, I don't know if they filmed it on a stage That's
my question for Will Gilby. Yeah. Is that building that we see inside the actual thing, or is it in a studio, the inside parts?
Yeah.
Because he talked about it being very, very cold, and most of it is inside.
Yeah.
There's only a few exteriors. So I wonder if that is the set. I don't know. But am I being super naive thinking
I feel
they
like
would build it the inside, outside the facade of the sheriff's office? I don't know. Because there's a couple of shots where they come
through the window,
out of the front door, and then they're outside, and I was like, oh, hang on. Is this just stitched, or is this the actual set here in this bit of woodland in Kosovo?
Yeah. These are all great questions, which is why I'm waiting with bated breath for the next installment.
Well, anticipatory listeners will be excited to know that, all being well, I will be speaking to the director, Will Gilby, on the next episode. So I will put these questions and many more to him. Hopefully he will offer up some morsels for us.
And the other really clever thing, and not to sound too Brexit about this,
was that none of this money went back into our country. Take that. Is Kosovo in the EU? I don't know.
No, but again, if you're going to make something like this in 24 days in a single location, make sure you get really, really great actors. And not to sound too British about it, but a lot of the best actors in the world come from the UK, and the cast in it is really good. I really enjoyed all the performances.
I thought everyone in this was excellent. And until Simon Kuntz turned up, I didn't have an inkling, because I was like, I recognize that man. And then my little cog started whirring, and then then my sort of radar was up, and there were a couple of little, if you're listening for it, the accents you can hear occasionally, right? If you're going to be super pedantic about it. But yeah, everyone in it is really good. And Nikki Amuka Bird, who I have not seen, I don't think, in anything else,
Really?
absolutely kills it in this movie. I think she is really, really great. Yeah.
She's really
and the
good.
glue that holds the whole thing together. Incredible performance.
Yeah. And again, just really smart kind of casting. It's just a really clever film, and it really, an hour and a half. That hour and 45, somewhere around that. Really tight.
Under 90. It absolutely, gets in, gets its job done, and then gets out and ticks all the boxes.
Yeah. I wonder if, again, these are just all questions that we won't be able to answer.
But I'll jot them down and I'll ask Will.
All the exteriors, are they Kosovo, or is that America as well?
That's a good, like the sort of...
Is that Pond 5? That Shutterstock?
Well, some of it did have a, now you mention it, there have a watermark on it, didn't it?
Like I said, the budget was very tight.
The budget didn't go to getting the watermark off. Okay. It's Creative Commons. That is a good question. Are those drone shots Kosovo, or are they, can we have some nice drone shots of actual rural America? I don't know.
It looked like it. It looked like the Rockies. But again, Kosovo could look like...
Do you know what Kosovo looks like?
No.
So that's the genius of this production team, isn't it? Coming to this from a sort of having written a bunch of other movies, and also being an editor, I think, must really help in terms of... interestingly, he didn't edit this, and that's obviously I want to ask him why. I feel like I probably know why he didn't want to, just have the full, I guess, autonomous, no input vision on it, perhaps in the edit, or maybe it's just so tiresome sitting in an edit that you wanted someone else to do it and to sit back on the comfy sofa at the back going, can you maybe move that in front of that? Yeah.
I think it's good filmmaking is such a team sport that you want to try and get, confident filmmaking, you want to try and get other people's opinions in. And even as an editor, and if you're writing it and directing it, if you're going to edit it as well, it just makes it an exceedingly lonely process.
That's true, actually. Yeah, you would just be sat in the room on your own. Gosh.
And you need people to bounce ideas off.
But also it would become so sort of singularly voiced that you perhaps would be like, I am mine, when you're like, well, maybe it would be quite useful to get a bit of input. Yeah.
You can do, there are fantastic filmmakers who do that. So Steven Soderbergh, for example, pretty much writes it,
Rodriguez
shoots it, edits it,
sings the theme tune, writes the theme tune.
Waterman.
What?
So it is doable, but when you're working at this sort of pace, and I can imagine writing it. I've never written anything, but I can imagine writing something like this. Again, it must be so terrifying, or singing into the dark, really, or not knowing what's good and what's not. I can understand, why he got an editor in. I think my big question, and probably one I'm going to record for if you want me to record a question for him, like, is within the kind of editing field, basically. So with his background as an editor, and having worked with loads of other people's footage, how does like an experienced editing knowledge, how does that change or modify how you work as a director or even as a writer during the scripting and the pre-production? Like,
that's a great question. Yeah, and I think
so. Just cut that out and just send that to him.
Okay. I trod on the end of it very unprofessionally. I'm sorry. I should have left a little bit of breathing room there for the edit. I think it must just, well, I mean, we've said it comes in at a lean 90 minutes. So when he puts pen to paper, he knows this is 2 sets, 1 exterior. I'm going to set this up here, It's going to kick off big time, 40 minutes in, and then it's going to be, a breathless race to the finish. And I suspect as a director, it must very much help to kind of in your head be editing, right? I mean, a lot of good directors talk about, they're assembling the shots in their head as they're shooting, right? I guess some, not all. I mean, I'm sure some just point 7 cameras at something and blow it up. But when you're on this much budget and this tight a time scale, you sort of have to be thinking very much in terms of like the storyboard in your head.
Yeah. When to stop, when to keep going.
Yeah.
And as an editor working with other directors, he must have been like, if only you had thought about the edit when you were directing this. So I feel it must play in so heavily to not only, like you say, the scripting, but also the kind of direction of like, okay, I don't need that here because we're going to cut away from it somewhere else.
Right.
And just the clever use of, like I said, the dash cam footage, how we're going to do that, what that's going to feel like.
Yeah, very smart, actually, the dash cam stuff. Like I hadn't thought about it in as obvious as terms, I guess, in that like it really does take you out when you are still in the single location. It's a very smart device for making the kind of playground of the movie feel bigger. You're like, oh, remember when they went to that house? You're like, well, they didn't. She was just watching the monitor of them at the house. But like, yeah it's like a very cool conceit. Yeah.
And just a good way of opening the world out and making it feel less interior. While still being fully kind of interior.
Yeah. When it all kicks off, I was going to say the action is very adeptly handled, I would say. I love to debate ad nauseum whether things are technically an action movie, but I think I clocked when the first sort of gunshots were fired was 40 minutes into this movie. So it's almost halfway through. It doesn't feel like it because it's such a good build.
Yeah.
But from then on, it sort of doesn't really let up.
No.
And I think the claustrophobia, the constant tension, there is like a few scuffles. There's a lot of gunfire. There's running around. I think it has to qualify as it's an action thriller, isn't it? That was another, how would you describe it? Clinical, tactical, smart scripting choice that I wanted to ask him about is, does she have the cast on her leg so that she moves around the set slower?
Nice. That's a good, yeah.
What do you think about that? Because if she was just like fully fine, she could just be running back and forth. But everything is like a struggle. Is it just like to add another layer of struggle? Like, what is the thinking behind it?
I think so. You've got to give people a reason not to leave. I think if she could leave.
Like she could just run away.
Yeah.
That's true,
Or get in a car, although technically, they drive off in the car. One of my favourite bits is where Chris Riley and Simon Kuntz come back in the car. And then they get shot while they're in the front seat, and they do some fantastic getting shot dancing while sat down.
They really get shot to bits. That might be my action replay moment. That reminds me of like in what is it? I think it's in one of Michael Mann's movies. You know, he's such a gun nerd, and when people get shot in his movies, it's like so. I think it might be like Miami Vice or something.
Okay.
Where someone's got like an absolutely huge sniper rifle, and it like when it hits things, it's just realistically like it tears through, you know, like a car and the sort of body in it. Like it sounds horrific when I describe it, but that's
great.
It's very surprising amount of gunfire and spoilers. People getting shot up. Yeah, that's when it really kicks off, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. I would say the inciting incident is the locksmith isn't coming.
Nice.
Right.
He's in the coolest
script watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it really kicks off when the gunfire starts.
Yeah.
And then I think just the sort of between the cinematography, the pacing, the score is excellent.
Yeah.
The bad guy is very menacing. Played by Philip Christopher. He's got a very sort of angular face and that long hair that only very angular faces pull off, I think. He's a very just overconfident criminal baddie, terrifying. Yeah, and then it just goes, you know, like it just sort of, it's that snowballing of it just tips it over the top of the hill, and then it really doesn't let up until the sort of final frames of, you know, no real spoilers, like the cavalry eventually arrives. Obviously, it's the sort of, if it was a Die Hard movie, it would be the helicopter shot pulling away of, him sitting in the ambulance with like 50 police cars around. But this is a smaller scale production where they do get those big Escalades to bowl up at the end, which is very expensive, I imagine. And then, she finally sort of staggers out.
Yeah. If it was a Don Lee movie, he would be walking off into the sunset past the cars.
That's true. I don't know how Rio Bravo ends, but yeah, the sort of the westernness of it would be that.
Yeah. The lone gunman, no, not the lone, the hero, the lone hero walks off into the sunset, and that kind of happens. But yeah, it's so incredibly taut and tight. And I guess that's so rooted in Will Gilby's editing background, right? He must have just tightened this within an inch of its life. Zero air in any of the scenes.
Yeah.
And the action, that was something that would terrify me, kind of directing action or directing guns or knowing how blood packs work and the choreography around, just triggering them at the wrong time and just...
well, here's a little tidbit for you. A couple of weeks ago, I was shooting something and I had a blood pack to explode into my face. Me and another guy, and that is absolutely terrifying. I'm just not going to lie to you. They basically just put a tiny piece of explosive in a bag, and they can't go, it's going to be like this, just watch, we'll do one over here. They just go, we'll just attach it. It was basically like a bloke sort of holding a 2x4 with this thing attached, and then holding it like yay far away from my face. That's going to work great on the podcast. 2 feet away from my face. And they were just like, okay, we'll just say 3, 2, 1, this will explode. And then you react and say, and say your line, say your line. First time it sort of went, didn't really get enough blood on the face. And then they're just like, well, we'll just make it a bit stronger this time. And then I will also add, I'm in India. So the health and safety feels like it's a little bit less unionized, shall I say, on movie sets. Incredible, massive sets, huge budgets, very professional, but just occasionally things feel as somebody literally said to me, this ain't the BBC, mate. Second time, they made it a bit stronger. It almost took my co-actor's fucking head off. Whoo!
Did you get the line out?
I did get the line out. Yeah. I was very Tom Cruise, broken ankle on the roof about it. I was like, we're not doing this again. Absolutely terrifying. So yeah, you're sorry, I made it about my blood pack story, but
no, that's great.
You're right. To handle that stuff confidently must be so difficult. And I assume you just have to have a great team of people around you who know what that stuff does and how it looks, so you get it on the first go, because you haven't got time or money to like reset everything after you've blown it up.
A good action designer, a good second unit director. Once again, I'm fascinated for you to speak to him and to get these answers
vicariously. Yes,
I want to know. Yes, please.
But geography, I think, is a word we haven't said about this yet, but that is so critical in sort of setting the wheels in motion for this movie, right? Mm-hmm. Before anything happens, everyone or our lead character has basically walked around every part of the set. So that bit is over there, through that door leads to where that is, out there is that, and then when the bullets start flying, it all makes sense in your head. Nothing feels too crazy.
Yeah. And the CCTV helps with that, or the surveillance cameras around the space help with that. Again, it's set up. They've newly installed. These are covert. I think they're even labeled maybe in the UI of what she's watching. And then they lose them halfway through. And it's like, oh, we've lost our only advantage, which was quite cool. And so again, the establishing of geography is really well done and doesn't feel heavy-handed, but again feels woven into the fabric of the piece. Yeah.
And things like that are just really good scripting stakes things, right? Like they've got cameras all around, so they can see when people are trying to come in. All right, well, let's take it up a notch now that the cameras have gone out. Or there's, how do you make the same set look interesting and different 20 minutes later, where like in the bit where the cells are, there's some gunfire. One of the fluorescent lights comes swinging down, and suddenly that sort of, brightly fluorescently lit bit of cell becomes like a quite scary, claustrophobic, intimate, very contrasty lit. Same bit of set, totally different look. And I think the same happens in the upstairs when various things explode. There's a really deliberate and interestingly shot bit where she's having a sort of heart-to-heart with her son. And it's just like, you could have shot it in so many different ways, but he's like sat on the floor and there's like the shadow of a desk, and it's just so nicely art directed, cinematographed, directed, like just so many pieces come together to make it just look so nice when it's a person sat on the lino floor talking to a person in an office chair,
Yeah, it's really well shot.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
Yes, I want to shout out the DP at some point. As I scroll through the IMDb, he's got a very Irish name. What is it? It's Rory O'Brien.
Yeah, Rory O'Brien.
Yes,
that's what I'd go for.
I think a lot of the a lot of the production value can be laid at the feet of the DP and the lighting, the art direction.
Yeah,
because it sounds like not a compliment, but it does look much more expensive than it definitely was, right?
Yeah, definitely. And again, just one of the many benefits of working in a single location or working with a set build.
Yeah,
is that you have the time to light it, pre-light it, do all these different spaces and make it look amazing. Again, it's just all the money you're saving is going on to the value of the production is production value.
Right.
Does that make any sense? But it's just the production value is everything's just really well thought out within the parameters of what they have. I think it's really smart and really great. Yeah.
And I think, it looks like several $million more
yes,
than the ones that it was.
Yeah, definitely.
I just thought as well, James Nunn's first movie, Tower Block, could potentially count as a siege movie. Single location, they're trapped inside a tower block, and there's a sniper outside. That's got to be a siege movie, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's just smart thinking.
Yeah.
Smartly written. Keep it small.
The Raid 2, that could be a siege movie. Attack the Block.
The first Raid. Raid 2's when they go out everywhere, right?
That's what they do in second movies, isn't it?
Yeah. Once you get the bigger budget, get out, mate. Let's get some locations. Get a car chase in it.
Other shout outs for other siege movies, just to circle back.
Please.
Lock.
Tom Hardy in a car.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Haven't seen that actually, but yeah.
Maybe not. Fantastic.
Is that a siege movie?
No, but it's one location.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It's not a siege
If the location is moving, does that count?
Yeah, yes, a single location. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen any Bang Bus. That was
Fake Taxi is technically a siege movie.
No, I've drifted into single location movies because these aren't siege movies anymore. But this is a fantastic siege movie that you should go and see at your local multiplex.
Yeah,
sure.
I highly recommend it. It's a really strong debut. Just like I said James Nunn was a safe pair of hands, and I think I need to just think of a better description, but confident is, I think, the word. A confident debut. It just knows exactly what it is, and it slots really neatly into the genre, but it does its own thing, and it does it in a really nice, mature, confident way. I think it sort of just, ticks so many boxes for me. And I think it's just sort of quite cool that it's like a British director British cast, shot in Kosovo, but it's about a small town sheriff's department. I may or may not have had a 10-minute waffle about that earlier, depending on whether I leave it in. But yeah, I would just absolutely recommend it. Before we go, Joe, I'm going to need your action replay a moment. It's tough with this one, isn't it? Because I think because it's not like, oh, there's that one amazing fight scene or there's like that big stunt to narrow down the sort of repeatable moments. So while I watch your cogs whirring, I will toss out the one. I can't claim it because you brought it up first, so you can have it if you want it. The bit where the first bullets go, that's pretty great. But I will also bring up a second moment, which is an absolutely classic Chekhov's gun situation where, correct me if I'm wrong, but Chekhov's gun is like if you see a gun, it's going to be fired at some point, right?
You have to fire it. Yeah.
That's basically the thing. So there's a bit where there's a sort of setup of, oh, there is this gun, but, and you kind of go, oh, well, okay, probably should be fine. And then later on, it absolutely pays off in a really great way where as it gets towards it, you're like, oh, wait a minute. And then, it exactly happens as it should. The sort of the dominoes go clack, 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 clack. And you're like, yes, perfect. Great. That's great script writing. Love it. Thank you. Check. Next. I don't think I'd rewind it and rewatch it in the sort of like, it's a bit gross, but it's a very good. And I will count that as my action replay for me. Thank you and good night.
Good, because my action replay is the one you mentioned, is them getting shot and doing some awesome kind of sat down, getting shot dancing for a good 6 seconds where they're just really kind of like vibrating in the spot and kind of moving around and stuff like that. But it's great. It's great to watch. Yeah. I think the other, we've mentioned it as well. Again, it just comes back. It shows the craft of this film, basically, is that the best moments are cleverly set up and executed, and the ghost story moment, the kind of like, that's that locksmith, that's not the locksmith.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
And it's a bit of a da-da-da. So yeah, again, it's not a traditional action replay moment, but it's a satisfying payoff to a well set up, well crafted piece of drama.
I've thought of another potential action replay moment, which is one bit where, this is mild spoilers, so watch yourselves. There's a sort of big swinging dick guy who gets vaguely mentioned, and then at one point is like, what, there's some shit going down, don't worry, and bowls up, and it very quickly goes very far south. That's quite a hubristic.
That's all I got. Nice moment.
That's all I got.
When the first bit of the cavalry turn up, and then they, that's satisfying again.
So, I forgot to mention, I'm going to ask Will about this. The choice to make the bullets, those sort of tracer fire bullets, that you see in like post-90s war movies / actual war footage, where you see the trail that the bullet leaves. You don't see that a lot in movies, and it felt like a very deliberate choice. And I suspect, I guess you probably put that on in post these days, right? But to make that choice feels like you're a real fan of the genre, and you're like, what looks fucking cool is those bullets that kind of go and look like tiny fireballs, because they feel so powerful. And at night, you see exactly where they're going, and it really like brings it home. Love that.
More questions for Will.
It's less us discussing it and more us workshopping an interview with the director.
Oh, it's going to be an absolute humdinger of an interview, though. We have workshopped it within an inch of his life.
We've got so many nerdy questions for director Will Gilby. Sticking around. Hi guys, we're both also sort of involved in movies, but not making our own ones yet. But hopefully one day.
You should also ask him what his favourite Siege movie is. That's an obvious one.
Great start, yeah, 100%.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Joe Roberts, thank you so much for joining me again to talk about a movie that hasn't got Don Lee. As I've said it, I remembered the other day I watched Don Lee in Badland Hunters.
Ah, with the crocodile movie.
The crocodile movie,
or alligator.
Which not spoilers, but it actually that there is a crocodile, but it's in the first few minutes, and the rest of the movie is not really about a massive crocodile at all. It's quite and I don't know why I'm continually surprised by this, but it's really bloody and brutal, sort of post-apocalyptic movie where Don Lee does punch quite a lot of people, but he also sort of shotguns people's arms off and stuff. Like, it's very, where the Roundup 2 kind of toned it down to PG-13, this goes back the other way, where you're like, whoa, okay.
Nice.
It's very entertaining. It knows exactly what it is, and it just does that very well. Post-apocalyptic, bad situation, some baddies, a rescue mission, gangs, Don Lee punching people, a lot of blood everywhere. Whew. Bit of fun.
Is it South Korean?
Yeah, South Korean. Yeah, it's Big Punch Productions.
Oh, great!
Your favourite?
I'm signed up. I'm going to go and try and watch it. Obviously, I can't watch it. Not one to watch with the family.
Probably not with the younger kids. No.
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
No, but it's on
Or
Netflix.
Wife.
Yeah.
Is
Wife,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. On Netflix. I think it's a STN straight to Netflix. Sorry, I've sidetracked. I was going to give you a lovely round out, Joe. At the beginning, I didn't sort of puff piece you up because I assume everyone knows and loves you already by now. But you have been working very hard on a new show for our HRH, the BBC, which is coming out in the coming months, right? If I'm correct. It's called Peacock.
It's the second series of Peacock, which will be on BBC Three and /iPlayer in the summer months. We're not quite sure. They're always quite cagey about when they're going to put this stuff out.
Intrigue.
But, there's a slightly big football tournament that's happening in the summer months, which makes me worry. But, it's on iPlayer, so you can watch it whenever you want. But yeah, it's second season of Peacock, which was loads of fun to make. It's from the people who wrote People Just Do Nothing. And it's a silly gym-based comedy. There aren't any guns or people having their arms shot off.
Not interested.
There's 2 episodes where people shit themselves. So
I'm back on board. And I'm back.
There's quite a lot. Yeah, there was a long discussion with a Foley artist about the intricacies of the exact type of fecal matter and where it would go. So,
and that is true collaboration in filmmaking.
That's coming together and talking about a coming together. And then the going out, whatever. You never call shitting yourself. I've had a coming together. But that's a lot of fun. And so hopefully that'll be out in a couple of months.
Watch it, everyone who has access to iPlayer. You saying it's on at the same time as the Euros sent like a shiver down my spine from the days of like doing stand-up shows during the summer. Already quite a sort of potentially barren patch. As soon as the sun comes out, no one wants to go to a comedy show in the UK, but God forbid there's a football tournament on and you're like, oh yeah, finally I've got this really great gig booked in and it's on like a Tuesday, it's in this lovely room, and then like a few weeks before you get the draw. Oh, England are playing Germany. Oh, what date is that on? Oh, for fuck. And then you turn up to like the 4 people in the room and you're like, hey everyone, I don't like football either. Let's be friends.
And then one of them's like, oh shit, yeah, the football's on. And they run out. So there's only 3 of them.
And the other
left,
one's just like, my wife bought the tickets to this. You better be funny. Living the dream. Let's hope. Well, the beauty of, non-linear TV watching, right, is that we can just watch it whenever. Even people who are in Amsterdam and India via bloody VPNs. Thank goodness. I still pay my license fee. Don't worry, Auntie. Joe, if people want to find you on social media, can they do that?
Yes.
Thank goodness.
If they want. I'm not very active.
MySpace, Tumblr and Habbo Hotel?
Yeah, all I am Joe Roberts. Yeah, you can find me there. But I've kind of gone off the whole idea, if I'm honest.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to live more in the moment.
Nice.
I don't know. I'm trying to. I'm just on my phone too much. I need to like just leave it in. I need to leave it in my bedroom at the start of the day and then just get on with my day and give myself an hour on the phone or something like that.
God, yes, do that sort of like 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss-ness of it. I only answer emails at 4 p.m. on a Friday. I love the idea of that, but then in reality, it's always just like, can you do this thing tomorrow? I need an answer now. Oh, it's been put back 2 weeks. Don't worry about it. Hashtag freelance life.
Any question that you have that pops into your brain, you can answer it straight away.
Yeah.
Any podcast you want to listen to is via the phone. Anything you want to watch is on your phone.
Yeah.
It's just everything's via the phone. So
we live in a utopia, is what you're saying. I get it. Loud and clear, my friends. Hey, if you want to follow the podcast, it's still on Twitter at Dodge This Pod. But like you say, Joe, gosh, it's hard enough just manning, your own social media accounts, let alone do one for the podcast, especially when you're in a new country and you're trying to build your profile as an actor. You can find me on my website, simonfielder.com. That's got links to everything you need. Please get in touch with your suggestions of movies we may have overlooked. There's so much content these days that the list of attempting to keep things as current movies is trickier and trickier in a way. It sort of goes from, oh yeah, this movie's coming out this month to, oh goodness, well, I thought this only just came out, but it actually came out at Christmas. Any hoops, always want to hear about new stuff. So get in touch with the pod. If you want to give us actual Earth money to keep the lights on, you can do that also via the link in the description. Otherwise, everything being well, we'll see you on the next episode when all, brackets some, brackets hopefully most, of our questions will be answered when I sit down with director of the excellent Jericho Ridge, Will Gilby, for a bloody old chinwag, as nobody says. In the meantime, Joe, please join me in screaming at the top of your lungs in a obnoxious fashion. Goodbye.
Goodbye!
Goodbye! Goodbye! Goodbye!